January 13th, 2019, Gillette posted a video asking, "Is this the best a man can get?" The ad showed men bullying each other, harassing women, and talking over female colleagues, then suggested their customers were part of the problem. Within 48 hours, the ad had racked up 400,000 dislikes, making it one of the most disliked advertisements in YouTube history. Customers started posting videos of themselves throwing Gillette razors in the trash. The hashtag boycott Gillette trended worldwide. 6 months later, Procter & Gamble announced an $8 billion write-down on the Gillette brand. The division CEO's response when asked about the backlash: a price worth paying. This is the story of how Gillette, a company that had dominated men's grooming for 118 years, decided to challenge its own customers on masculinity itself, and how that decision became one of the most expensive marketing lessons in modern business history. To understand the collapse, you need to understand the empire. In 1901, King Kemp Gillette invented the safety razor. Before that, men used straight razors that needed constant sharpening. Gillette's idea was revolutionary: cheap handles, expensive disposable blades. It was the razor and blades business model before anyone called it that. By World War I, the US military gave every soldier a Gillette razor. When they came home, they brought the habit with them. For the next century, Gillette didn't just dominate shaving. It defined masculinity in advertising. Their ads featured athletes, celebrities, and aspirational imagery. In 1989, they launched the tagline, "The best a man can get," and men bought into it. By the early 2000s, Gillette controlled 70% of the global razor market. With that kind of dominance, they could price their cartridges 35% higher than the competition, and nobody blinked. Such power attracted attention. Procter & Gamble bought the company in 2005 for $57 billion, the largest acquisition in their history. For over 100 years, Gillette had been untouchable. By 2018, Gillette faced a problem advertising couldn't solve. Market share had dropped from 70% to 54%. Revenue in the grooming division had fallen 26% over 3 years. The brand that had dominated for over a century was hemorrhaging customers. Part of this was cultural. Beards became fashionable. Men's average shaving frequency dropped from 3.7 to 3.2 times per week over the decade. Younger men grew facial hair, watched YouTube tutorials on beard grooming, bought oils and balms instead of razors. The US shaving market itself experienced contraction during this period. Manual razor sales fell 5.1% year over year from 2017 to 2018. But the bigger threat came from a different direction entirely. In 2011, two guys launched Dollar Shave Club. The following year, they made a YouTube video where the founder said directly to camera,
"Our blades are f***ing great."
It went viral. Within 48 hours, they had 12,000 orders that crashed their website. The pitch was simple. Why pay $25 for cartridges when $3 blades work fine? Subscribe and they'll ship them to your door. No drugstore trips. Masculinity. Gray New York, Gillette's agency, developed a campaign that would flip the brand's 30-year tagline. Instead of "the best a man can get," the message became "the best men can be." To direct it, they hired Kim Gehrig, the Australian filmmaker behind Sport England's This Girl Can, a campaign aimed at empowering women. Gillette was now asking a director known for speaking to deliver a message about masculinity to men. This wasn't just going to be an advertisement, it was a complete repositioning of what the brand represented. Gillette committed $3 million to nonprofits focused on supporting boys and men, partnering with organizations like the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. The logic seemed sound: align with progressive values, attract younger and more diverse customers who weren't buying razors like their fathers did, and build loyalty that went beyond price points and features. The plan was set. In January 2019, they were ready to make history. They just didn't expect it to be this kind of history. On January 13th, 2019, Gillette uploaded the film to YouTube. The ad opened with men staring into mirrors as audio of news reports played, references to bullying, the hashtag #MeToo movement, and toxic masculinity. Then it showed a series of scenes. Boys fighting while fathers muttered, "Boys will be boys," men catcalling women on the street, male executives talking over female colleagues in meetings. Then actor Terry Crews appeared in footage from his congressional testimony.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
The ad shifted to positive examples. Father stopping his son from bullying, a man intervening in street harassment, young boys learning respect. The film ran 1 minute and 48 seconds, and not a single razor appeared. The YouTube comments section exploded immediately. Users complained about being called rapists and bullies. Others declared they were done with the brand after decades. The problem wasn't the message itself, it was who was delivering it and how. The ad spent most of its runtime showing men behaving badly, bullying, catcalling, dismissing women. positive examples came only at the end. For many male viewers, the message felt less like inspiration and more like accusation. You are the problem. And it was coming from a razor company, a brand that had spent decades profiting from aggressive masculine imagery, sponsoring boxing, football, celebrating competition. Now that same brand wanted to lecture its customers about toxic masculinity. To critics, it wasn't social responsibility, it was hypocrisy. British journalist Piers Morgan, who had over 6 million Twitter followers at the time, posted, "I've used Gillette razors my entire adult life, but this absurd virtue signaling may drive me away to a company less eager to fuel the current pathetic global assault on masculinity." His response became...
All right, so I'm pretty much everybody got the gist of what's going on here. So, what are y'all thoughts on this situation?
First mistake was letting a woman do the advertisement for a male-dominated I mean, we don't use Gillette razors. I mean, we use razors. I guess some people do, but
women use the Gillette. They got a women brand.
But this one was targeted towards men, right?
Yeah.
This is their triple razor that men. I mean, I use that one sometimes. I ain't gonna lie, because it's the best. But that was a big mistake. What'd you say?
I said them 5 blades be fine.
Yeah, because it got like 4 or 5 of them. You know what I'm saying? Just one stroke, you done. Like,
right, that's it.
But I think it was a mistake.
You hear what you're saying out loud, bro? Done.
Yeah, that was a mistake, letting a woman create the ad to begin with. So, I mean, we wouldn't want a man to create an ad for our maxi pads or our tampons. Like, come on.
I mean, a man created it for y'all. A man created that for y'all.
Well, but we wouldn't want
this is the thing though. I think if I might be wrong, but if I think a man did it, I think he would probably ask advice of women to try to make it cater to you women. I think a lot of times, like what this chick did, she's figured out her own agenda, how she felt shit is, and went with it. She had a whole bunch of money to play with, and kind of just said, "Fuck it, like you know what? Everyone thinks like me. This is what I'm gonna do, and this is gonna survive. You know, this is gonna work. I'm just gonna throw out my idea. This shit's gonna work." Which is crazy. Like how could you think that this would be a good idea to say men are bullying people and you know just being terrible people, that this is gonna actually sell shit? Like I don't know. That's just crazy as fuck to me. I don't get it. I mean, they've done it twice. They did shit with Bud Light and they did it with this. Like they fucked up 2 times. Like I don't understand these big ass companies. And a woman did that one with Bud Light. She hired that's another one. Yeah, I mean that's what happens.
Actually, a lot. Disney, they did everything with Disney. That's the reason why their sales are so low, because they introducing this type of stuff in every damn movie.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that a woman couldn't do the job, but for some reason they picked the wrong ones.
Can you see how the views dropped on that episode with Stranger Things when they talk about fucking Will had a whole fucking segment about him being gay? Like, bro, we already knew this shit. Like, why even do this? Why you waiting?
It ain't even that, bro. Y'all about to die. Why we gotta sit down and listen to you coming out the closet?
That's what I'm saying, like, bro.
You ain't even gonna have you ain't gonna have nobody be in the closet with. Goddamn.
I don't watch that show, but nobody was coming out as gay openly in the 80s. Definitely not kids. No. Definitely not teenage boys. It was not something that you knew your uncle was gay, but nobody said anything. He was just your, weird uncle. Nobody back in the 80s. I mean, I was a kid back in the 80s, but yeah, that's weird to me. And it's just another example of this right here is another example of women feminizing men.
But I think that the whole Stranger Things happen is more of a woke thing. It's more
it is.
It's more of a including
it got hijacked though.
Plus community, like which has nothing to do with the actual storyline. I'm like, this has nothing to do with the storyline. Like I think that's the whole point. But no, in the Gillette, I think it was an attempt to be inclusive, to have a woman. But I actually agree with Marcus. I think when men do things that have a majority female audience, they tend to be more neutral about it, more neutral to their approach, so they can be more profitable, so they can be more
make more money.
made more money. But I think when women do it, they switch it and be like, oh, well, that was her idea of masculinity, showing men in a bad light first, and then showing, you know, the whole Terry Crews. I think men should be that was her idea. That is her idea of masculinity.
You swear a dude would be a dude would make
what was it? Do you think Deadpool 2 was directed by a woman, and everybody was pissed off about that. Deadpool 2.
You think a dude would make a commercial about like I don't know, female deodorant and have like chicks at the club and they're walking out some dude's apartment the next morning, fucking walk of shame, and because maybe men think this is how women are, and then most women, a lot of women aren't like this. But you think a man's gonna actually fuck up a bag just to view like maybe his thoughts of how women are, and it might not make him look like in the best of light. Then the end of the commercial, you got a lady come out of church, you know, try to clean up a little bit. Man, girls will be going fucking.
I mean, but on the flip side, I guess that could be the whole point. We all sitting here talking about it.
But I'm saying but that's not the
billions of dollars over it. I don't think that was that talking about it.
Yeah, well, they
didn't think that through. If that's the case, they definitely didn't.
I guess they try to pivot. Companies pivot every time.
Marketing 101.
It was the wrong pivot, because not one time even in that commercial did they show a razor. And it's this one, when you talk about a razor, you're not talking about shoes or clothing. That's something that people have in the bathroom, right? And they completely missed and dropped the ball on this situation here. They completely missed it.
Marketing 101. Marketing 101. You always want to solve a problem with the functionality of the product or service that you're actually selling.
Yep.
I get it. Some companies, they add comedic feel to it. They actually doing something for a cause. They're doing a campaign that they're, you know, for a cause, which is good, right? Mm-hmm. But that's like the most prolific pantyhose line, giving a commercial showing how misandrous women are these days, right? And said it was a necessary thing to do so we can have some course correction. I don't care how you feel about either side of the aisle. It's not going to be good for sales. It doesn't matter, because women going to be like, what this got to do with pantyhose, right? Why y'all telling us about, you know, that's not even all the women that's doing all this crazy stuff. So why y'all making a PSA about, you know, this pantyhose? Do y'all got pantyhose that make it feel like you don't even got none on? Right? What's the new technology, dude? I mean, it's been some time. Like, what's going on? So Gillette, they messed up. But the reason why they messed up, a lot of people forgetting, once they ran that ad, that was around the time when that wokeness stuff was going on and it got hijacked. Woke was supposed to be for something, but it got hijacked. Mm. So bringing anything to attention to the mass is considered woke. You know what I'm saying? So it got hijacked, and that was like the height of it when they ran that ad. So they were just playing on with everything that was going on, but they hit a demographic of people like, yo, hey, we don't like that. You know what I'm saying? We don't like that. And
what was the target? It was a target audience that didn't like it.
Was a Me Too shit, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The target audience didn't like that. That's like going to WWE and saying, we finna promote non-violence. You know what I'm saying? Y'all that's not good. Stop body slamming people, y'all animals and all that stuff. They drunk, they ready to see people get put through tables and all that shit.
This is why I hate when people say education. This is why I hate when people like throw out the person who's educated is the most qualified for a job. I'm pretty sure Chick maybe had a master's degree or whatever. But that is just zero common sense. That is just because this is a hot topic that's going on right now, doesn't mean it fits to every fucking thing. You know, I know it's a Me Too thing going on back in 19 and shit like that. So yeah, that's what they're running with. But I mean, anyone with common sense would understand that shit is not gonna fit the people who are using razors. Like, and that was a big, I mean, $3 billion.
Yeah, because they wanted to do a message about like men being better, they should have got men in there to give their point of view of how they can do it, because then it would be like how men would like interpret it. You know what I'm saying? But the way the production and everything was in the lens of how women look at it. So now it's one of those things, men like, I'm shaving in the morning, and this all marketing. You know what I'm saying? I got Gillette. I don't want to use this junk, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even that type of guy that do this type of stuff, and man, you know what? I'm good. And then the Dollar Shave Club came out and just took over, and they should have been did that. Gillette, so twofold, right? When it come to business, Gillette is Blockbuster. They didn't want to innovate. They didn't want to get up to date with business models. They didn't want to get up to date with marketing strategies. They didn't want to do none of that stuff. So it was twofold, right? So what they should have did when they saw them doing their subscription base, they should have did a subscription base. And they also, because the whole trend of beard start happening, they should have made some beard oils. They should have made some beard care. They should have did that. It added that to the subscription. They didn't do none of that because they wanted to focus on, we need to get men right. At the end of the day, it's a business at the end of the day. So it wasn't just because the woke stuff. We can talk about the woke stuff and all that stuff, or the propaganda or whatever. Their business model was outdated. That's the majority of it, because they did a Blockbuster. Blockbuster didn't want to do subscription based.
They hired the wrong person.
But here's also that. So both of those things are true. So yeah, you're right. They didn't know how to innovate, but also what really drove it down was the propaganda because of the target market. Now on top of that, after them doing that video, they got a ton of likes, they got a ton of views, but none of it converted into sales. None of it. Yeah. So there was a very small percent. I think there was a very, very small, like insignificant number of sales that they got from that video. So more than anything, so I agree with you, Matt, in regards to that. It was the innovation more than anything.
But I actually studied this back in the day. I already saw this stuff, and it was one of my part of my, like, I got a degree in marketing when it comes to trades and sales and stuff. So it was like one of those things that we had to study about business models and all that type of stuff. And they was already having sales that was going down. This actually was the situation where they felt as though, because the whole Me Too movement, the whole propaganda, they felt like they can capitalize on the wave. That's what it was, right? But they was already declining in sales. So they felt as though this was going to be the push they needed to get the sales up. But the innovation was the number one thing that they was messing up on, because their sales was already down. You know what I'm saying? Just like I do the comparison with Blockbuster. They didn't want to do that. They want to stay true. Now you only got one Blockbuster in the whole entire United States.
And just
I think the vision behind it, that they were going to gain it. I see the vision. I see the pivot. It's just the way the message was executed was not hit.
So yeah, you would see the vision.
I don't see the vision at all.
I mean, the vision was that whole Me Too movement. It was that in the middle of all these sexual assault cases with women in the industry, with women in the business, it was that's what it was presented. I was like, oh, if we pivot towards this, and of course they had to have a woman direct it, because why not?
Well, because you saw the vision. And that vision were men.
That vision didn't. It's just the message that how it was executed was awful.
No, it don't have to come from women, because there's way more men that know how to control themselves and compose themselves, and they know right from wrong.
That Me Too movement, it was not. It wasn't every single woman.
In the Me Too movement environment, why would you have a man direct a commercial in a Me Too environment? The whole point was
the same way a man do this. The same way a man that's looking after his daughter could navigate and say, hey, this is how protection is. And then they look at the son and say how to protect your sister, your cousins, and all that stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of different ways they could have done that.
It's a lot of different ways. And that's one of those normalizations that men are incapable of actually communicating with the masses in order to be a decent man. It takes a woman to teach a man to be a decent man. No, it takes it takes a real man to raise a decent man that knows chivalry, that know how to cater to women, that know how to do all these things and be a man and actually be the rock of their family and everything. That's what it takes, because a woman don't know how to do that shit. Right? You're not gonna know how to have discernment while you out and navigate through situations and say, all right, babe, we finna go ahead and roll up out of here, because he already checked out dude in the corner, look like he about to do some dumb stuff in the building today. All right, well, this might not be the place. Let's go ahead and get on up out of here, right? And at the same time, there's plenty of men teaching men how not to disrespect women on a day-to-day basis. But yet, when we actually have conversations saying these things are happening, we always get pushback and say, no, it's not, because a lot of women focus on the small amount of men that are, well, I got the microphone out, I got the biggest lens, instead of the men that's actually out here that's not doing none of these things. If they talking to a woman and she say she not interested, no matter how disrespectful she is to him, unwarranted, he just walk away. He don't say, well, if you did B word. He don't even do that. He just walk away. But they only want to focus on that one dude in the party that's acting a damn fool and say, y'all don't know how to goddamn act. Right? So guess what the messaging is going on right now in podcasts and on the internet? Hey, y'all men, y'all can't even have a conversation. Y'all can't even talk about how to raise men, but y'all want us to raise men to be men.
No, it's how they tell you how to do it. That's like leadership. That's like, hey, I want a man to lead me, but you gotta do it the way I want you to do it. Like, you mean, it's like, you know, that shit right there makes no sense. I've said this a million times, like on this podcast, that leadership does not feel good. I don't know anyone who's ever been in a position that you have someone who's your leader. That shit is not feeling good. You got a coach, he ain't gonna make you feel good, but he's gonna get the best out of you though. Like 100%. You're gonna fucking hate that motherfucker like half of the time, but he's gonna get like the best out of you. So I don't understand why women think that leadership is supposed to be like roses. It's not. Like
you wanna know how that
you disagree a lot. Like 100%.
You wanna know how that commercial could have went in the men eyes? They could have did all that slow motion stuff, and the dad went to daddy daughter dance, dropping her off at the school and don't drive away until she actually get all the way into the school. Dropping her off at her friend's house and he don't drive away until she to the other parent wave goodbye and this, that, and the third. He being a firefighter and he's firefighting the house. In the back of his mind, I got a family to get home to, and he have a picture of his daughter in his wallet or something. A war veteran going overseas and fighting for the whole goddamn United States, but he under fire and he looking at this might be the last time I get to see my whole family. I got my daughter and stuff, and I'm doing something to protect my family. I'm having like a slow motion situation where it looked like he's instilling information into his daughter, and she's actually looking at him and respecting him, and like they hug after it, and it looks like a lesson was taught. And then it was showing the Gillette stuff and all that type of stuff. I guarantee it'll be way more sales than downing men. And then other men were like, damn, I might not be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I need to get on my shit.
Looks like they.
That's what could have been. That's what could have happened.
And you got to pitch that, they would tell you get the fuck out.
You
know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, men, y'all don't have a place to teach. That's crazy. And that's the issue right now. We normalizing hearing men, y'all are not capable of raising men, but we want y'all to raise men. There's plenty of competent men out here that's raising people right. And those majority of the time, these are men that's trying to have a voice to say some shit. But they always get muted. They always say, nah, well, all y'all men don't do it, so it's over with. All right, then they get silent. They can't say nothing. You go on a TikTok live where there's a bunch of women on there, and you try to instill some positivity, they're gonna kick you out. I didn't got kicked out a whole bunch. I'm trying to recruit in the early stages of this. I was trying to recruit and everything. I got kicked out of so many, and I was just talking just like this. I wasn't disrespectful or nothing. They kicked me out. They were like, anyways, he just lying. He probably gay, and he probably ain't got no kids, and just that and the third, he broke. They saying all this stuff, and I ain't even saying nothing.
Yeah, that's usually how it is.
Are you gay?
They just start saying a whole bunch of stuff. They were like, he insecure, gay. They just gotta. They have. I call this hashtag talking. You got women out here that got hashtag talking. They have like 6 hashtags of what they use on a day-to-day basis. And then anytime a man say something that they don't like, they use all of them in one sentence. He's controlling, insecure, narcissist, misogynistic, all in one goddamn sentence, and it's over.
I got a question.
And he gay.
I got a question, y'all. So, like, I've been kind of sitting back thinking about this. So, I'm thinking, y'all know I gotta play devil's advocate for a minute, okay?
Yeah, we do.
So, Marcus, please. So, all right. So, a woman took over a campaign. She became the face of the campaign, basically, right? Okay, because they were joining a movement. Why is it deemed the character flaw of a woman versus a possible sales pitch gone bad, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because so around that time we know the movement was going on, all of that fine. But this has been a male dominated industry business all this time. So what if because sometimes like in business, you kind of have to think outside of the box. So what if the men thought, okay, well, you know, what if they said, well, we might can grow our sales if we join this force, because a lot of the people in the world, they kind of feeling like this, right? This is what's going on. This is what's prominent right now. So let's join this. And the best way to do it is probably to get a woman that probably feel like them, and then we make our ad. So what if it was a sales pitch that just went bad, but because it's a woman that's the face of it, now it's deemed a character flaw when it could have just been a bad business move, right? So why are we saying that, oh, well, this is what happened when a woman take over stuff? I'm just curious.
That's exactly what happened, though. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's not what happened. It was a bad
I mean, that's exactly what happened. But you gotta understand, you're talking about selling like a man's product. You're talking about selling a fucking razor. You're not talking. I mean, if you're talking about selling like shit, I don't know, something different that's not manly, and then would it work?
Just a bunch of viewers. BET.
But yeah, if you're talking about selling like a man's product, men who shave weren't really about that Me Too movement, because they're like, it's not all men aren't like that. So the audience that you're getting who buys razors weren't even about that Me Too. More people about it, but it wasn't about men, because we're not terrible people like they think we are. So why are you gonna try to target that audience that aren't those people? You get what I'm saying? It's almost like if you're selling like I don't have a good analogy for that right now, but it was just the wrong people to try to target.
I think
I think it was probably just a bad business move overall. But when the conversation started here, and I kind of tuned out because I was kind of doing my own little research on the side. I don't like to talk about something I don't know about, right? So I was trying to figure out, okay, where is this really coming from? But when the conversation started here, it started with, you know, that's another one of them situations, you know, where we gotta, you know, everything the same, you know, women, this is what happened when women take over, when women normalize things. So I just don't get it, because who said that was a woman's idea? How did we go from a male ran business to a woman just all of a sudden picking up a campaign? I'm pretty sure they asked her to do that because they wanted to fit the movement, right?
No. They just hired her. They didn't know what she was going to do. They hired her, and that's what she went with. She was
the only person that reviewed this before.
She was known for it. They said in the beginning that she had done several ads that were targeted in that type of way.
At the same time, hold on.
Well, that makes it worse, right? Wouldn't that make it worse? So you're hiring. Let me just ask my question, man. Hold on. Let me make my question. So wouldn't that make it worse if you hiring someone that you know, like, this is what they do? It sounds like it was just a bad business plan. I was trying to see why the conversation here started off about.
This is what I'm talking about. They were blaming Gillette as a company making a bad decision on doing this. That's the premise of the whole situation. They was feeding into they thought they was money hungry because there was a movement. They went and got the most progressive woman that they could find, and it was bad. But they are blaming not her, they blaming Gillette for making the decision to get her to run this. Now, if she was very left-wing progressive, but she was smart and she understood business in a way that, hey, I can't be too far over here. Let me sprinkle a little of truth of what she actually displayed in the ad.
How
But
can
at
we
the
say
same
that though if
time,
that's what they wanted?
hold
How
on.
do you know that?
I
How can you
would
say
think they
that?
hired
Hold on.
someone.
So,
It's
all
kind
right.
of like
So,
up to them to
with
do it.
business, hold on. So, what business is? I'm gonna hire you to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna pay you money to do it. A lot of times, the higher ups not gonna see it until it actually happens because they entrusting you to do the research, the target market research, the movements and everything, and say that it's working. They have the meetings and everything, and say, hey, after this campaign, based off our projections and the research that we did, sales are going to be up by X amount because the Me Too movement and this, that, and the third, and X, Y, and Z. They're going to give case studies of different companies that did the same thing. The higher ups don't know all that stuff. And they gonna be like, okay, compelling. And they let her do what she do. Now it didn't work out. As what you said, it was a bad business decision, right? That's the reason why everybody was saying Gillette made a bad decision. They are blaming Gillette.
That was the gist of the ad.
But listen, even though Gillette made a bad
I mean the
decision,
video.
we at the same time they can still point out the things of the reason why it was bad. How she directed it, it was bad.
So you think that you think no higher ups during that time saw what she was gonna put out?
No,
Nobody
I didn't
saw
say
that.
I didn't say that. I said they did case studies. They probably saw it and they put it in trust of the people that they actually hired and paid money to do the research, case studies, and said they are projected to actually increase sales based off other people that did it.
I
Right?
just don't
That's how.
see a company not reviewing something before it's pushed
Hold
out, regardless of who they hired to do
Hold
it.
on. One more time. I'm gonna say it again.
One thing. All right, what's one thing? The way I feel about it, I would have felt the same way. But if it hadn't worked, I'd have been like, damn, well, the shit worked. Like, it's not, even the higher ups might be like, I don't like it, but we hired her to do a fucking job, so we just want more money. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at money. It's not about our feelings. So I'm pretty sure she was successful, whatever she did before. In that case, they should have did themselves. They hired a person that's supposed to be there to do a job. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how they did it as long as it made them fucking money. And it did.
The situation, they probably did review the ad, but when it comes to these, I say I work for a big corporation, so that's the reason I'm trying to give kind of like visibility about stuff. It's a lot of moving parts, right? It's not no small company, and they reviewed it. And me personally, I don't like it. They have a board, so you have people that say, "Hey, I thumbs up it." You have people say, "I thumb down it." Right? Majority wins. Right now is the Me Too movement. This is how we're gonna do. It's literally sometimes a coin toss. Right?
Right.
That's
I
basically what it
understand
is.
that, but I'm just talking about when we were talking, when the conversation started here. They might have been you, Mac. You said this is what happened when we let women normalize things. So I was trying to see how we got there.
I say that the reason why I said that was they were trying to normalize the situation with the Me Too movement, saying men, the messaging of the ad. They was normalizing
right, but is that what happens when women normalize things, or is that just what happened because it was a bad business pick?
No, because it was coming from a woman's lens. She was actually the one that
but she didn't solely decide it, right? She was working with a business, right? That
But they
hired her to
paid
do a
her
job.
to do
That's
it.
what y'all said.
And they paid her thinking that she was the expert in it.
Yeah,
and
But Mimi, you also said, so y'all hear me? Because Mimi,
it's a
you
bad
also
decision.
just told me, like,
it's both. It's both. It was a bad decision, and it was done by a woman. Had it been done by a man, it still would have been a bad business decision because it failed ultimately. So at the end of the day, whether it was by a woman or not, it was a bad decision. You're right, but it was also done by a woman. So obviously they're correlating the two things.
A woman with a track record, it's not a situation. She was just a woman. I think that's where you get stuck at.
No, I'm not. I understand that because, like you said, they hired her to do a job.
Because she's done that job
They
before
knew
for other
what
companies.
I understand that. I'm with you, right? So they knew what she did. This is her specialty in a sense. They hired her to do this job. But my question is not with the ad. My question is with the question that was, or with the statement that was made here when the discussion started, which is, this is, y'all know me, I'm just saying, this is what happens when we let women normalize things. So my only question is this what happens when women normalize things? Hold on, let me finish, man. Hold on. Or is it just a bad, and the reason why I keep going back to the bad business decision is because I can't say that, oh yeah, this will happen when women normalize something because, she did a bad job or it turned out bad. Like, because it wasn't normalized. It's just, this is what they hired her to do.
But didn't women normalize the Me Too movement? It was women that created
but the business was trying to fit. Was fitting in with what was going on, right?
All right, hold on.
Women created it.
All right, Courtney, bag all the way out. Take yourself outside of the Gillette situation. Let's talk about the climate at that point in time. That is what we're talking about. At that point in time, they were normalizing villainizing men, right? It was being normalized that men don't know how to act. Men was doing all these things in the workplace where women were newly being placed in these male-dominated spaces. So within those male-dominated spaces,
I get all of that. I think you just don't hear my question.
I get it.
I get you though.
So now, if you bag yourself out of all that, right, because things were being normalized in order to make safer spaces for women, so we start operating in a certain way. When she did the same thing in other aspects that were deemed successful based off the industry, they tried to do the same thing in the industry that was very, very male dominated, and it didn't work out. Even though they hired her, like I said, they do case studies, they do projections, they do calculations, they do all these type of, it's a lot of moving parts. And what they did at the end of the day, Gillette made a mistake, right?
But that's not what happened because we normalized what women was doing, like something that women were doing. You just said it was. I guess I'm just not getting it.
I'm saying, like, I know exactly where you're getting stuck at, because that's where I said remove yourself all the way from Gillette. I'm saying the climate at that point in time. A lot of companies was doing the same thing. I got you.
What was going on in the world in general?
At that point in time, right? They was normalizing these things, right? And then because they was normalizing things and this was the trend and all that type of stuff, Gillette said, you know what, we're going to do it too. And it was the industry to do it.
I got you.
Okay.
Which
I got you.
Kind of translate which
no, that makes sense
to the question that's down here. What's the cost of companies engaging in propaganda?
So
and we see that result.
I guess I just wasn't thinking in terms of when you make that statement that it was more like this is what happened when women normalize things in the world. I understood that as you were talking about like just the business in general. Wasn't trying to be like argumentative, nothing like that. I'm just trying to understand. I'm like, I'm confusion. Help me understand what you're saying.
No. That's what I was trying to do. Movement. I was trying to do because I was trying to gauge on what you was interpreting, and I said, okay, maybe we need to dial it back. Because a lot of times when we have conversations, we always think about what the climate is right now. The pendulum has swung. Back then, you had cancel culture. Cancel culture don't work no more right now. So at that point in time, a lot of men were scared to speak. Regardless, they were scared to approach women because soon as you approach a woman, and if she deemed you ugly and she didn't like you, she can say whatever she wanted to say online. And everybody gonna cancel you, might lose your job.
Yeah.
Now it's one of those situations where they didn't call cap so much on a lot of women because they were doing it. Now everybody kind of like, okay, I need more evidence if this is true or not, right? So the pendulum has swung a little bit.
I'm with you.
So now we didn't got desensitized. Now it's kind of hard for us to understand what the climate was back in the day when things was going on. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So you got it now? Because I know you were trying to say like,
you know what?
No.
You know what?
I know phenomenal women leaders.
Three
That's
strikes
dope,
you out.
right? I know plenty of phenomenal women leaders that's phenomenal. They might have a little bit more like women aspect touch to it, but at the same time, they have the discernment to understand they can't go all the way that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just wanted to. I can, people call me very literal all the time. So when you say something, like I just go by what you said. So that's why I said when the conversation started, this is what you said. But we were talking about, we had just finished watching the video, but I didn't know that you were talking about the world at the time in general. Because I'm like, how was the two a correlation? That's why I was getting lost. Well, what's up, Marcus? What you got to say, Marcus? What's up?
Well, no. I think mine might be a little bit different because I know you're saying like why did the company? Because they knew that she did a certain kind of work, and that's the reason they hired her because they wanted her to do that type of work to Gillette.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think that was the case. I think it was just something that worked, and then they hired her. And they probably gave her free range to do what she wanted to do because they would have just did it themselves. I don't think they would have hired someone. I'm pretty sure she was making a pretty big salary. So, but the thing is, I think where I was coming from, it'd be almost like this. It'd be like this. So, like, actually, I gotta do this. I gotta paint my house, right? So, my house in Arizona, they have like this smooth stucco, and they got this like rough stucco, right? My whole neighborhood is like rough stucco. So, like, if I went to get to say a good painter, whatever, and they did smooth stucco, whatever, and they came over to do my house, I would hope they would look at it and say, all my house, my whole neighborhood is rough stucco. Even though you like the smooth, I love the smooth, it's probably gonna stick out like a sore thumb and not do the smooth and do the rough so I can sell it. But what I'm trying to say, what I was kind of coming at, it'd be someone coming in with their own like ideas and not looking at what's around them, but what they think looks good. And they'll paint my house. They'll do the smooth stucco, which I probably won't be able to sell. So I think that's kind of how that situation came with that. It's like, yo, you came in, you thought this was gonna be the best way to do it, but you're just using your personal, ideas and feelings versus what's around you and what you're actually trying to accomplish. And I think that's why I went to the woman versus the man thing, at least from my side.
I'm with you.
So I think you just don't want to fight no more.
I'm with you. We good, baby. But one more straight. 3 we out.
We good.
Any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic? No,
we Gucci.
Right.
Hey, my bad. I ain't try to show that. I was trying to see who that was, and I clicked, and I'm not used to the new interface.
No, you good, bro. You good. Hey, make sure you like, subscribe for the algorithm, and make sure you hit the bell notification. So let's move on to this next topic. Let's go with DJ Hamp. Let's go with DJ Hamp. And so it's another panel as well, and this woman gets caught in 304 behavior. So